Hi there and welcome to another Boom Web Search Technology video, which we are going to be looking into USB Generation 3 versus USB Generation 2. At the end of the video, or closer to the end of the video, we're going to do a real world scenario time elapse of USB 2 and 3 taking on a half a megabit of data transferred. So stay tuned until the end of that, although we will be covering more information generally towards USB 2 and 3, and we're also going to feature a lot more generally towards how they are alike and how they are different right after we roll out our short video intro segment. Okay, so let's start with the aspect of noting the limitations, which are the primary differences between the standards of USB 3 and USB 2. So the similarities are they are backwards compatible and the physical connector sizes are the same. But the architecture of USB 3 has been reinvented over USB 2 and therefore comes with some advantages over the old architecture. One which is notable is the speed limit, or the maximum interface capacity. On USB 2 that's going to be 480 megs per second, and for USB 3 that's going to be 4,800 Mbps, and that means USB 3 is 10 times faster than USB 2. Does this information only apply for flash drives? Incorrect. The information which will be presented within this video generally should be applicable to some degree to other cables and devices which use these generation standards, meaning that this video will be more presenting general information about USB connection standards 3 and 2, which can be applied to flash drives as well as other cables and devices which use this standard. These are the most commonly found standards, although there are definitely other standards such as USB 1, which might be covered in a future video. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that being presented in one of our future videos on the topic. Examples of devices and cords which use USB 3 and USB 2. Some examples of devices which use USB 2/3 possibly are printer port cables, USB extension cables, mobile device chargers, general data connection cables, flash drive connectors, SD card readers/converters which use USB, routers with network sharing, and network attached storage devices which interface with USB network shared devices such as printers. What do we not mean when we state maximum interface speed? When we stated the max speeds for each of these interfaces transfer rates, it was in the theoretical maximum being presented, and the actual speed will be variant on many factors such as your device specifically and how much information it can send, such as in the case of a hard drive, that's usually not going to be as much as an SSD. So you could probably get away with USB 2 on a hard drive, especially the older ones, although when you're talking about SSDs, usually USB 2 is going to limit your speed. What is the actual difference between the standards themselves? With the improvement in standards of technology and want for faster data transfers being present, advancements have been made in standards to allow for faster data transfer rates. The connectors are able to carry more bandwidth themselves, which allow for more data to be able to be transferred, and that is the major change between USB Gen 3 and USB Gen 2. The standards are backwards compatible for you to be able to use a USB 2 device in a USB 3 slot and a USB 3 device in a USB 2 slot, although that's not optimal if you use a USB 3 device in an older slot, such as USB 2, as it will probably lower the transfer speed notably, and it is possible that your OS will indicate to you that it's recommended to connect to the USB 3 port, and you should probably connect to a different port for faster data writing. So if you're connecting using USB 2 and you want to change to USB 3, then your OS will let you know usually if that's an optimal decision or if it's not. What about standard extensions such as USB 2.1 and USB 3.1? These standard extension examples for USB 2 and 3 technology were not entirely designed to be a new standard themselves, as in terms of architectural changes, although the changes that were made were to increase marginally the power delivery and transfer of data rates. Should I upgrade to USB 3 from USB 2? USB 3 is the more optimal parentheses because being more efficient and modern over USB 2.0. If you have a system and you have a device/devices which you plan to connect and those support USB 3, then you will likely benefit from increased access speeds. Older systems do not have USB 3, although if you're on a desktop you may be able to add a motherboard extension card for USB 3 if your case has insufficient port quantities for like them all, or as a general statement in entirely, or if the ones on your motherboard are already occupied. If you are using all USB 2nd gen hardware, then you will not be affected by the upgrade to the newer 3rd generation platform of USB. Depending on the speed of your connected device and how much you value access speed, the upgrade could or could not be worth the added costs of transferring. In a general statement, USB 3 is the preferred platform due to architectural advantages over USB 2, allowing it to be able to transfer more bandwidth in terms of data and power. Architectural time frame differences for USB 2.0, it uses a single millisecond time frame, which is less efficient, and USB 3 is more efficient because it uses 8 microframes to distribute the workload. Real world data transfer time, parentheses, average speed for USB 2 and USB 3 is going to be represented in the next 2 demos. So we're gonna have a real life data transfer workload simulation with a progress bar, and that's going to be a visual of how much time it would take for USB 2 and how much time that would take for USB 3. So the data transfer quantity is 500 megabytes, parentheses half a gigabyte, and we aren't going to speed up the clips or anything like that, so you'll have an accurate demonstration of how much time a half gigabyte workload would take with these two standards in average speed for say. So we're going to start with a half a gigabyte file transfer scenario with USB Gen 2. So when I click start, it's going to simulate a workload of half a gigabyte being transferred with USB Gen 2, and that will be represented by the progress bar. And we're also going to have an estimated timer of completion, which I'm going to add in the editing stages. So that's just a note for me. Although besides that, let's start with the half a gigabyte file transfer scenario with USB Gen 2. Starting in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so our file transfer has been completed, and it took 59 seconds exactly, or we can just say around a minute for this file transfer scenario with USB Gen 2 to complete transferring. Now we're going to repeat this experiment with USB Gen 3 and see the differences. So now we have another slide, same policy goes here. We're going to do a half megabyte with USB Gen 3 in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so that took approximately 16 seconds to complete, and that would be 3.75 times faster when in comparison to USB Generation 2, which shows the large changes which have been made in order to improve the generations of technology, such as in this case which we're comparing 2nd gen and 3rd gen. And this advantage could present possibly more devices with higher bandwidth being able to use USB Gen 3. Maybe Thunderbolt ports will be replaced with USB if we get them fast enough. I don't know, maybe it's a possibility, although only time will be able to tell. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much for watching this video, which is generally towards Universal Serial Bus Standards. Please make sure that you are subscribed to this channel, Prince's Boom Web Search, if you have not done so already, and have your bell notifications turned on to prevent missing any of our future content uploads. The bell icon only appears to the right of the subscribe button after having that selected beforehand. If you have any future video suggestions pertaining to the topics of computer software, computer hardware, technology, topics explained how technology works, or basically anything tech related, then please let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next content upload. Bye!